So we are left out with two topics. One is calculated fields and the other is dashboards, how to create dashboards. We will begin with learning about calculated fields. Now, this is something that we create quite a lot day to day, calculated fields, because most often we come across scenarios where we may be having all the necessary information that we need for creating the reports, for doing the data visualization, etc. But it may not be sufficient for our analysis. So if we come across such scenarios where data is there, but it is not sufficient for us, then we can make use of calculated fields, which will help us manipulate the data. For example, suppose we have to compute what will be the sales of the business after subtracting the shipping cost from it. Okay, then how do we do it? Here in this data source, we know what is the sales information. And we also know what is the shipping cost. So this was covered in the previous session, sir. I showed about rainfall forecast and I showed Amazon stock prices prediction with time series data analysis. In the previous session, I covered it. We did predictive analysis, then we did forecasting, we did clustering analysis. These were covered in the last session. Okay, sure. So we'll do that first. Okay, fine. So okay. So predictive in the sense when we are trying to estimate or here in this case forecasting, we are trying to forecast what will be the future value of a particular variable given the current and the historical information. So what I had taken is a time series data that has been collected from 1984 all the way up to 2008, 2000. I should have it up to 2018. Yeah, up to 2018. Okay. So this is information regarding the temperatures and the precipitation. Temperatures and the precipitation. Yeah, these are numerical in nature. Date is a date in the sense the day and the month and the year. The rest of the information is numerical. Like for example, precipitation in millimeters. How many millimeters of rainfall in a particular location, that kind of information. Rainfall in millimeters. Okay. And this is in Celsius, the temperatures in Celsius. So here what we had done is we looked at the precipitation for a few years now. In Tableau, it all depends on the granularity, the level of detail at which a chart is built. Like if we are trying to estimate for the next few years, then the chart is supposed to be built at year level. If you want to estimate for the next few quarters, then we will take the data from the previous few quarters and estimate the future, which means chart is supposed to be at quarter level. Now here what I will do is let's take data only for few years because I think in between we don't have little data. So I will just take data from 2001. January 1st, 2001 up to 31st December 2018. No, we can bring everything into the same graph. We can do that. See, this line is representing precipitation. Now I can have one more line graph just below it, which will be telling about the temperature. I can have one more graph just below it telling me about the low temperature, high temperature, the daylight hours, all these things. So we can have the charts depending on the granularity at which we want to present the data. Multiple measures can be brought into a single chart, and for all of them in one go, we can do the forecasting. So here, if I go and say I want to perform forecasting, the model that Tableau uses is exponential smoothing. Okay. The estimated data will come in light blue shade, and all the information about the estimated value, you can see it comes on the tooltip. The actual data was taken till here, and the rest of the information is estimated. Now, if you want to change that, if you want to change the forecast length, then you can change it by using this option. Let's say we want to estimate for the next 3 years. So that will be 12 quarters. So it has estimated for the next 12 quarters then. Now, suppose you want to present this data in a report format, then you can simply convert this into a cross tab directly by changing it from the Show Me panel. Or if you want to retain this data the way it is, now I'll just bring it here. Okay, actual and estimate, actual and estimate. If you want to, this is all actual data that we have, and the estimated data will come here. It all depends on the way you have designed the structure of the graph. So we can rearrange things the way we want. This is actual information, and this here followed by actual, we have estimated data. Actual and then estimate. Yeah. Now, once this is done, once we have estimated and we are telling this is what the data will be for future. Now we want to create a report out of it, take it into an Excel sheet. In that case, we have to make use of the worksheet option on the menu. From worksheet, when we choose export, we can say export and select the option cross tab to Excel. So the data that is present on this sheet will be sent to an Excel. It will be exported into an Excel. Automatically Tableau will open an Excel and it will export the data there, here, like this. This it will do automatically, which we can then save. Okay. So this whole block is actual data. And next to that is what we have estimated for the next 12 quarters. For the prediction accuracy. Now, by default, it is built with a prediction interval of 95%. But how good is this estimate? How is it reliable or not? Is it accurate or not? For that, for the field that we have done the estimation, okay, we will take that field, like for example, precipitation. We can take that to the tooltip shelf. Now here on the tooltip shelf, when we click on the drop down menu of that icon of that field, there is something called as forecast result, where we can check the quality, which is nothing but the accuracy. Now, when we check the quality, if that quality value is greater than, under the estimate, if it is greater than 70, then it is said to be a good estimate, means it is accurate. Quality should be greater than 70, which is an industry standard. Here we can see that the quality is not so good. So the data is either not good enough for the estimation or not reliable enough. So we can just conclude saying that because the quality is less than 70, what we have estimated may not be very accurate. What we have done may not be very accurate. Now, there is nothing we can do to further improve the quality of the estimate. In Tableau, we don't have such techniques. Here, because the only technique available is exponential smoothing, we use that technique and do the estimation. If the quality is greater than 70, then it is reliable. If it is less than 70, then we just have to report saying that the quality of the data is not good, it is below 20, below 70, so we will not be able to do the estimation. Even if we do, it is very unlikely to be correct. Now, there is one feature that Tableau will give if you want to test. So we had this graph, line graph. If you want to test whether whatever we are getting through the estimate is going to be close enough to the reality, under forecast option, we can ignore a few data points for which we actually have the data. Suppose I ignore last 8 quarters data. That means even though I have data for the past 8 quarters, I am not taking it into consideration. Though I have data up to 2018, I'm taking only up to 2016. So for 2017 and 2018, Tableau is doing the estimate even though I actually have the data in my database because I ignored it. Now these values which are the result of the estimate, you can compare them with the actual value. Let's check for precipitation. So we can compare it with the actual value. Um, and you can then see whether or not it is correct. So what I will do here is create one more report. We will apply this filter to all the worksheets. Okay, so we have the actual data here. 2017 actual precipitation was 12 millimeters. 2017 quarter to 40. So this is the actual data. And this is what I have estimated. So we can do a manual comparison like that. I'll remove this. Let us just focus on precipitation. So this is what we have, this is the actual. It is in 2017 Q1. Actually what happened is we had 12 millimeters of rainfall. But what is Tableau telling in 2017 Q1? It is saying, it is estimating that there will be 23.6 millimeters of rainfall. So we can see that the quality is low. What happened in reality, and by taking some test data, when we do the testing, like we call this test data and training data, right? Something that we have, but we are ignoring to check the quality, to check the accuracy of the model that we have built. So we can compare the actual and we can compare with what we have estimated. And we can clearly see that what Tableau is estimating is way beyond, not very close to what is happening in reality. So we can say that this model somehow is not holding good for the given data. But how do we normalize it? How do we now bring in data that will give us more accurate report? One thing is you can either change the granularity, okay? Meaning instead of going at quarter level, maybe if we can drill down a little more and go at month level, given the data, given the granularity of the data, maybe we will get something more accurate. So changing the granularity would be one thing, or we just have to ask for other data or more data which can help us to improve the analysis. Okay, so there's only one technique available though. In Tableau for estimation, we have only one technique, that is forecasting. Okay. Similarly, suppose you are doing any prediction. What we have done now is estimation. Suppose you are building a prediction model, like a linear model or an exponential model, whichever. So like, for example, I had taken data from a power station where we will try and estimate what will be the power output given the wind speed. So data has been collected from different windmills situated in different locations, different windmills. What was the power generated given the wind speed? Now with this information, if we are supposed to build a model that is supposed to help us predict the power output given the wind speed, then first we will create a scatter plot. After creating a scatter plot, we can granularize the data, disaggregate. Now this is the overall shape that the data is taking. Now here, to build a prediction model, we will put trend line. When we put a trend line on the line, we get the equation and we get the R squared value and P value. Now, as long as R squared value is greater than 0.8 and P value is less than 0.05, the model is said to be a significant model. So how do we know whether it is going to be accurate or no? How do we know whether this model is going to be reliable or no? Is we check the R squared and the P value. As long as we are getting high R squared and low P value, this model is considered to be good. Meaning that equation is the regression equation that we have obtained, where power output is expressed as a function of wind speed, it is reliable. Now, suppose on your data you are not happy, you have been asked to build some other model. Then what are the other predictive models which Tableau supports? Is we choose the option to edit the trend lines, we get a window. So from here we can choose any of the model of our choice. For example, we can build a logarithmic model, we can build an exponential model, and based on the model that you are building, obviously the regression equation will change. So we got the equation of that line exponential. Like that, we can also choose from the other models available. Like for example, if you go with polynomial with a degree of 2, polynomial with a degree of 2, it will give you a quadratic expression, ax square plus bx plus c. If we go at 3 degree, then the expression will change. So depending on whichever model we think is most suitable for the data that has been given to us, we can go and use from one of the 5 models, we can choose a model of a choice. But there is nothing we can do beyond that. Only 5 models are there, and we have to stick to one of the 5 models available in Tableau. Further, if you want to know the statistics behind it, if you want to know exactly what did Tableau do, what are the other statistical concepts, we can go and describe the trend model. Use the option to describe the trend model, which will tell us the model formula and other statistics, like the statistics related to ANOVA, analysis of variance, model degrees of freedom, residual degrees of freedom. So t-value, p-value, all these will come, which we can copy, and actually go and paste in an Excel and share it with people for whom we have created that model. Apart from just saving the chart, apart from showing them the chart, we can also show this statistical information behind the view. This is about predictive modeling. So the previous use case was for forecasting. This is for predictive modeling. Similarly, we can also perform cluster analysis on the data. Like after creating a graph, if you want to segregate that data into different groups or different clusters, then depending on the chart that you create, you can, I'm going to create a scatter plot here. Any chart can be used and granularized. Let's say this data for different subcategories I'm looking at. Now, or for different states we can take. Okay, let's say we have data like this and we want to perform cluster analysis on this data. So to perform clustering, we go to analysis and drag cluster. Drag and drop it on the graph, and Tableau will segregate the data automatically into clusters. And the technique that it uses here for clustering is k-means clustering. So these are the 3 things that we can do in Tableau with respect to analytics. Rest of them is all data visualization, creating the reports and delivering them, creating the dashboards which are fully interactive and all that. But when it comes to performing advanced analytics, predictive modeling is one thing, forecasting is one thing, and clustering is one thing. So these are the 3 things available on that front. Only k-means is there, sir, no other model. We don't have any other clustering technique in Tableau. This also was inbuilt in like about 2 or 3 years ago in version 10 of Tableau it came. Prior to that, even this wasn't there. So this is the one thing that we have. Okay. So very quickly, then I will give you a demonstration of calculations, how we create them. Whenever we have to manipulate the data, quite often when we have to manipulate the data, so how do we do that data manipulation in Tableau? How do we tweak the data a little? How do we like probably do addition, subtraction, whatever kind of mathematical or string manipulation or date manipulation that we have to do, or any logic that we have to write, logical statements, we can do it by using a feature called as calculated field, which can be accessed from the analysis option on the menu. From there, this is the option, create calculated field. Okay, comparison. Now Tableau, how is it better than Power BI? Is it rates better than Power BI with respect to data connectivity. When it comes to getting connected to data sources, it it provides a lot of ease to connect to data sources compared to Power BI. That is one front. Next front is when we have to integrate Tableau with external applications like R or Python, it is compatible with both of them. Power BI is compatible only with R. It cannot integrate with Python. So that is one more add-on which Tableau has, which Power BI does not have. And cloud computing capability, like whatever we do on Tableau, we can upload it to Tableau Cloud. That is Tableau Online, where we get 100 GB space. Now Power BI people, they give only 10 GB space on the cloud. So the space restriction is there. Otherwise, with respect to creating the graphs, both of them are at par with each other. Both of them are equally good. Okay, both of them are equally good. Okay, I can show you how to connect to R. That is what we cover in scope. Python, actually, I don't have it on my machine, so I will not be able to show it. R, I will show it to you. Okay. So I think we'll do that then. We'll just get connected to R. Now for R, for Tableau to be able to communicate with R, we will have to first start R Studio. Now in R Studio, basically in R, there is one service called as R serve. Now we know that R is a collection of a lot of packages. Every package is pre-written code, which will do some functionality, which will help us work with our data. So under packages, there will be one package called as R serve. Now what this R serve will do is it will help R to communicate with external applications like Tableau. So these are the three commands that we need to execute to prepare R to talk to Tableau, because Tableau is a separate tool by itself for data visualization. R is a separate tool by itself for advanced statistical computing. Now, if these two people want to talk to each other, communication link has to be established. For that, from R, we have to start this service called as rserve. First command to install for that is install the package, of course. Install.packages rserve. After the package is installed, then we will load it by using the second command, which is library rserve. After that, we will invoke or make the package ready. We will trigger the package, invoke it. So for that, rserve with empty parenthesis. Now, once we execute or we perform these three commands, we run these three commands, we will get this message called as starting rserve on the console of R, which means R is now ready to communicate with external applications. So rserve, okay, it provides R functionality to other applications. So we need this package. Now, once this is ready, once this is active and it is running here, when we go to Tableau, from Tableau, we need to establish the link now. From Tableau, we need to connect. R is ready to accept the connection. From Tableau, how do we connect this? We go to the help option on the menu, settings and performance, manage analytics extension connection. Now, when we choose this option, we can connect either to R or to Python. First one is for R. So rserve. Where is R present? The R that I'm trying to talk to or communicate with is present locally on my own machine. So it is localhost. Tableau reserves port number 6311 to talk to R. To communicate with R, it communicates via port number 6311. Like that, for different data sources, it has some reserved ports. For R, it is 6311. Now, when we test the connection, if everything is good, we will get the message successfully connected. And then done. Now the connection is established. Now once the connection is established, let's say we load the data into Tableau. After loading the data into Tableau, we will create some reports using existing information that is there over here. And then for some requirement, let us say we decided to take the help from R. I will give you one small demonstration. Let's say I want to understand whether this is positive or negative, and I decided to take the help from R. We will not do it in real time, but just an example. Now, we have to communicate with R only through calculated fields. So Tableau will be able to talk to R. It will be able to send data to R only through calculations. So I just want to know whether this is or negative. Now, how will Tableau be able to communicate with R through calculated fields is there are four functions which were given by Tableau people when the concept of R and Tableau integration was introduced. Somewhere in version 7 or 8 it was introduced. So that time they came up with 4 functions: script boolean, script integer, script real, and script string. Now only one of the 4 functions, only through one of these 4 functions, only via one of these 4 functions, Tableau will be able to send data to R and receive the response. Which means any function in R that cannot be called using one of these 4 functions, we cannot use it here. Okay. Now when to use which function? It would depend on the result that you're expecting from the call that you make to the external service. If R is going to work on the data and give back a Boolean result, then we will use script Boolean. If R is going to work on the data and give us something in the form of an integer, then we use integer. If R is going to work and return real number with decimals, we'll go with real. So depending on the result that you're expecting from the external service, we have to use one of the functions. And when data is sent from Tableau to the external service, that data is referred to as an argument. They are all called arguments. If you're sending it to R, then in the script you will write .arg followed by hash. If you're sending it to Python, if you're calling Python through calculated fields, it should be underscore arg hash. .arg hash underscore arg hash. That is how it will recognize whether the calculated field is going to call R or it's going to call Python. Now here I want to use script Boolean is what I will use. And whatever we write in quotation marks followed by a script function is our script or Python script. It is nothing related to Tableau. Tableau will not even look at what we have written. It will not even go through it. So, comma, what am I passing is sum of profit. Here we need to write the script. So even if we don't write anything, it will still tell that the calculation is valid because it's not going to read through what we write here. But we need to put the script, otherwise it will not work. So I'm going to pass one argument .arg1, which is of course sum of profit. And I want R to check whether it is greater than 0 or not. Okay. So now when I use this on any of the shelves to create a report, Tableau will send this data to R. R looks at the data and returns the result. So it is saying this value is true. Suppose I break it by subcategory level. Then the new set of values are sent to R. All these are true except for this. Here it is negative. So it is telling it is false. So that is how the communication will happen. Now, let me give you a little more better example. This was just to explain the concept. Now, one more requirement that we come across usually is identifying the outliers. Suppose you have a requirement where you have to identify outliers in the data and you have decided to take the help from R for this purpose. Then how do we do it? In R again, like RServe is used to help R communicate with external services, there is something called as MV outlier. Now what MV outlier will do is it will identify the outliers present in the data. Multivariate outlier detection based on robust methods. So it is used to detect outliers in the data. So what we'll do to use that technique here or to use that package and identify the outliers is first, of course, we need to create the report. Let's say I want to look at the monthly or whatever, monthly or let's say weekly profits of Superstore. Weekly profits. I'll make it a dot plot. Now all I want is I want Tableau to send this data to R. R has to look at this data and tell me whether a data point is an outlier or not. Okay. So for that, Tableau will be able to communicate with R only through calculated fields, not beyond that, only through calculated fields. So we'll go and create a calculated field. Now, what is it that we are sending as input? One argument. What is that one argument? Sum of profit. We want R to use the library, the package MV outlier, and tell us whether the data point is an outlier or is it a normal data point. So now this formula, when used on the color shelf or any shelf for that matter, it will show you Tableau is basically now sending the data to R. R works on the data and it will give us back the result. So outliers have come in a different color, orange, and normal data points are in blue. Suppose this was taken to size shelf, outliers will come in a different size, normal data points will come in a different size. Suppose this was taken to rows shelf, then you'll have outliers on one side and normal data points as another set of points, as another set graph. So depending on how we want to show the result, accordingly we can make use of these calculated fields, which contain the script which basically invoking R functionality and getting us back the result from R. There is no other direct way of passing data from Tableau to R. Only thing is we have to do it through calculated fields, and that too with a lot of limitations, only through one of the 4 script functions. So if R is going to work on a data and give you some result which does not belong to one of the 4 types, Boolean or integer or real number or string, then we cannot use such functionality in Tableau. So that is about R and Tableau integration. R connectivity. So R connectivity means first R should be ready. These are the 3 commands. That is one thing. Then from Tableau, how do we connect is we go to help, settings and performance, manage analytics extension connection, and we connect to R serve. So that way what happens is the connection is established. See, we start R and we start R serve. Once R serve is ready, R is ready to accept connection requests coming from external services. Then we open Tableau, and from Tableau, using the help menu, we connect to R. Once the connection link is established between the two, using that procedure, then just like we work with any other normal data in Tableau, similarly, we will load the data into Tableau. We will create different charts and dashboards using the data present in Tableau. For some requirement, when you need to take the help from R, then you will invoke R functionality through calculated fields only. There is no other way of doing it, only through calculated fields. So for example, now I'll give you one more example. Let's say, now this is Fisher's Iris data, which is used in all the data mining techniques and all those textbooks. You will find it because they teach all the data mining techniques, most of them using this data. Petal length, petal width, sepal length, and sepal width of different flowers. Let's say I'm going to create one scatter matrix. A scatter plot with 4 quadrants in it: sepal length versus petal width, petal length, sepal length versus petal width, sepal width versus petal length, and this is sepal width versus petal width. Given this data, suppose you have to apply k-means clustering logic and you want to perform cluster analysis. You want to segregate this data into different clusters. Then we can do it by calling R. How? Tableau will communicate with R only through calculated fields. So we need to write a calculation where we will send this entire data into R. What is the data we are sending to R? We are sending the petal length, petal width, sepal length, and sepal width. That is how many arguments? 1, 2, 3, 4 arguments. So I'm sending a data frame of 4 arguments: .arg1, .arg2, .arg3, 4. Asking R to use the k-means clustering logic, apply that algorithm, and divide the data in this data frame into 3 clusters. And when we call R, we have to call it using only one of the 4 script functions. So we are using script integer. Now, when this is taken to any shelf on the canvas, Tableau in the background will send this data to R. R will look at that data, apply the k-means logic, and return the clusters to us. So that is how it happens, the connectivity. Through calculated fields, it happens. Whatever communication has to happen, you need to write a formula for that. Calculation has to be built for that. Direct communication doesn't happen. Now, supposing you have created some R data file, you have an R data file, then we can connect to R data files from Tableau directly. How do we connect to R data files? Is just like we connect to any other data file, new data source, like we connect to Excel or like we connect to text. Like that, if we have to connect to a statistical file coming from R, then we will use the statistical file option Which are the files which Tableau supports? Is it supports SAS files, it supports SPSS, and it supports R data files. Now I don't have any R data file. I'll not be able to show, but you can see that you can directly connect to R data files with the extension .r data or .rd. So data, it will work just like any other data, just like it works with any other data, whether it is coming from an Excel or a text file or a PDF file. Similarly, if it is coming from our data file, we can connect to it. But if Tableau has to send some data to R, then that happens only through calculations. That connectivity is through calculations. R and Tableau connectivity, it happens like this. Okay. Any questions here? Okay. Now, because there is a lot of limited capability of the integration, like we can communicate only through calculated fields and nothing more than that. So the usage is also quite less. We don't use it as much because there's a lot of limitations. And one more reason why it is not used so much is because suppose we have used R script. Suppose we have created a calculated field and we have called R for some requirement in our graph, and R has given us the result and we have represented that in a visual format. Now, what are we communicating with is we are communicating with R that is local host, which is installed on our own local machine. So suppose we upload this workbook containing R scripts to Tableau server. Suppose you upload it elsewhere. Then Tableau server is supposed to communicate with R server. It will have to communicate with R server. Only then all these R scripts will work properly. If there is no R server which Tableau server can access, then the R scripts and thereby the charts which are created using R scripts, they will not work. So it's quite an expensive affair in that way also, because we are not going to just, the story doesn't end with us using R that is locally present on our machine. Tableau server will have to provide it access to some running instance of R server. Tableau server, it has to communicate with some R server. Only then the R calls will happen, whatever calls we have made in the workbook through calculated fields. Only when this communication is established, we can share our workbooks and views while incorporating the result coming from the R calculations. If that is not the case, then we will not get the correct output. If there is no R server that Tableau server can access, then these workbooks will not be able to show the correct output. Okay. It is used in multiple domains for creating dashboards only, for creating reports, graphs with interactivity, like yearly statements, monthly statements, year over year sales, those kind of reports. For geospatial analysis, it is very good when it comes to creating geographical maps, representing the data like that. Slicing and dicing the data through filters and parameters. Segmenting the data. those kind of things. So when it comes to statistical analysis, it's better to prefer R or Python. That is what we do in real time also. Only visualization part we can do in Tableau, and we can do it amazingly well with a lot of ease. It's more like a self-service BI tool. Tableau. More like a self-service BI tool. Most of the graphs are all, it's intuitive drag and drop analytics, right? It's all intuitive drag and drop analytics. So basic visualizations and analysis on the data we can do through Tableau. In fact, for sample reports, there is Tableau Public where we get a lot of, we can see a lot of um, reports which are used, and these are the different types of graphs and charts that people can, we can build with a little bit of, effort. Effortlessly, we can create a lot of simple charts, but with a little effort, we can create such, amazing charts where we are representing the data in a visual format, nothing more than that. We are just representing our data in a visual format. Okay, geospatial analysis in the sense, like say we have geographical information. Like suppose we have information about different countries. A business is there across a lot of countries, and we have to create a report showing the profits coming from each country. Then we can create something like this, right? We can create something like this and also sort the data and say, okay, in the US, your business is doing very well, and this is the profit coming from each country from across the world where the business has its presence. Rather than creating a graph like this, if we go and represent it on a geographical map, then we are adding more context to our data. Right? We know exactly which country is doing how by looking at the color given, and it adds more context. It is definitely an improvement over a simple text table or a bar graph. So when you are analyzing data pertaining to geographic locations, geospatial analysis, it comes in handy like this. And we can create different territories out of it and work with such things. This also we had taken up the other day. I had given some examples on how we deal with geographic maps. Yes, yes, because Tableau has its own internal repository of latitudes and longitudes from across the world that it recognizes. So Tableau knows what is the, it's like in the database, if we see, we are not getting latitude and longitude information. We are giving the name of the country. We are giving the name of the country. No latitude, no longitude, nothing. But just by the name of the country itself, it is able to show us on the map. That is because internally, Tableau has one big repository of latitudes and longitudes for all the locations that it recognizes. Different countries, cities, states, airports. Okay, all these things it recognizes. That is how it is able to plot. Even though we don't give the latitude and longitude coordinates, we are just telling the name of the location. Just by the name of the location, it is able to plot. And here I am using profit to give a color. If I don't give any color, then it will be like this. One data point for every country for which we have data in Superstore, in this data source. In this data source, we have data for 165 countries. So we have a data point representing every country. Now further, how do we convey information? Quantitative information is we can make use of color. We can make use of size, these kind of things. Suppose I take sales to size. So the color and the size are conveying some information. Color of the mark, size of the mark. Can you show? Will the values and location names, this is done. One country and profit value static way by moving the cursor. Okay. So that information comes on the tooltip. And if we want to display it, like name of the country, what is the profit and what is the sales, information about that mark will come when we hover the mouse pointer on that mark, and it just remains there. On the tooltip, it will be there for as long as the mouse pointer is hovering there. When we hover away and go to another mark, information about that mark will come. I didn't get.
Suppose my application, I want to show them the Hyderabad, Telangana map.
Okay.
Each district, what is the temperature? So instead of moving tooltip one location, because all locations they look at in the weather map or that way I want.
Yeah, we can do like this.
That's
we can say always show. So
can you show me like that?
Like that. Or only India we want, then we can keep only that. Now in India, information for different, let's say, states. Okay, so this is, let's say, the value. Now you want to show the temperature. Now let's say here we will use profit instead. We can take it to the label shelf. So the value will come. Now the labels, no, Tableau will not allow the label to overlap with another mark, but little bit overlapping is okay. We can just select this checkbox, allow labels to overlap, then everything will come. Is this what you're looking for, sir? Like the data point with the value?
We used to see the newspapers, no? That time we used to find temperatures like this printed. Am I right? That's how realistic way instead of moving tooltip.
Okay, so this, it's coming, no? I mean, anything else
yes, coming.
Oh.
With the name also, can we get
the
location
so
name
we
also?
We just have to make use of label. So we will take the state to the label shelf. Whatever we put on label, we will get the data like that with the name and all that.
Nice. This is what I'm looking at.
Like that, we can zoom in a little bit.
Yes.
Okay. This is about geospatial analysis, meaning working with geographical maps and all that. Even if they are spatial files, we can connect to them. Like, let's say, spatial files. Spatial files will have one special field called geometry. Suppose a road network I have to show. So I'll take the spatial file, which is a special geographic file, which contains the geographical information about the locations. Now in this, there is one field called geometry. So lines, we'll get the data in the form of lines. Roads, we're talking about road network. So roads will be lines, long lines we will use to represent them. Now using geospatial data, if we have to create, we'll take geometry to the detail shelf. Now it will automatically show the data. Now whole thing is one big block, which we can granularize. Let's say by road type, I want to give it granularize. So I can see each road type and what are the road network in that area. Then you can zoom into a particular place and you can check the road network there. These kind of options are there. On top of that, we can also make it a satellite view. So we have satellite view option. So it will change and give us that kind of a view in that area, different areas. So these kind of features are there. So we can actually see the curves, we can see the trail, we can see the roads and all that based on the network map that we have. So here this is called as code, all these. This is a drive. So like that, depending on the data that we have, we can create geographical maps. Okay, now let us say we can also manipulate dates and get what we want. For example, in this case, let us say we have different orders. A customer comes to the store and they place an order, and they would place an order on a certain date. And when they place an order with us on a certain date, let me show the exact date. we would be sending the order to them on a certain date. That would be the ship date. Now, let us say we have to compute how many days did it take to send out an order that was placed. Here it has taken 4 days. Here it was sent on the same day. Here it took like 3 4 days. Here it took 6 days. So we know how many days it is taking for them to send out an order. But let's say we have to show that difference. In such cases also calculations will help. So we want to get the number of days to ship an order that was placed. Now, Tableau has a lot of inbuilt functions when it comes to writing calculations. These functions are listed out on the right side. Each function has some functionality that it will do. Like date diff, it is used to compute the difference between two dates where the start date is subtracted from the end date. Now I want to get the difference between these two dates in number of days. So we need to mention the date part as day. That will give us the difference in number of days by subtracting order date from the ship date. Now Tableau will do the difference, compute the difference and give us the difference in number of days, which we can go and show in the graph. So we will just make it a dimension and just display it inside the graph. Number of days taken to ship an order that has been placed. 4 days here, 0 days. On the same day it went, 3 days here, 6 days here, 4 days here. So like this, whenever we have to manipulate the data that we already have for some requirement, we can do this. Like that, many things. Like for example, let us say there is some ID given to us and the ID contains both numerical and alphabetical part. Alphanumerical IDs are given and we have been asked to take only the numerical part of it. So let's say the last 4 digits over here. Then also we can use some calculated fields and trim only the part of the field that we need. So I will use something called as the write function. What write will do is from the right side of the string, it will give us the number of characters that we ask for. The string is the data present in the product ID field and we want 4 characters from the right side. Now this will give us the 4 characters from the right side of the string like that. But this is going to be string data, which we have to go and convert to numerical if we want to use it as a whole number. Then we will make it a whole number. Manipulating the data, we can do it through calculations, be it dates, be it writing a logic, be it editing the string information like this. So very quickly, I will give one small example on logical calculation also. Now let's say these are different subcategories making some sales and we want to classify them into different types based on their sales. Above 100,000, we will mark them as high sales. Between 100 to 500,000, we'll mark them as moderate sales. Below, let us say 400, let us mark them as low sales. Now, how do we do such things? For such things, we again will use calculated field, write the logical statement. If the sum of sales is greater than 100 or 1,000, it's quite a big number, no? Then we will say it is very high sales. Otherwise, else if the sum of sales is less than 400,000, then we will have to mark it as low sales, else medium sales. And so now what will happen by this is we will be segregating the subcategories into different types based on the sales that they make. We can also give different colors to each category of members and spotlight them. Now, when I give gray color to the medium range sales, we are kind of spotlighting high and low and kind of ignoring medium sales, high and low, very less sales and very high sales. So this is conditional statements. So like that, we can write many calculated fields different for each requirement for different requirements. First thing is we need to understand which function to use. So Tableau gives a lot of support when it comes to functions. You can see some functions are classified into functions that work with numerical data, functions which work with string data, functions which work with dates, logical, type conversion, etc. Now we And one thing good about Tableau, one nice thing is it will not just give the function and leave us there. It will give us how this what is the syntax of the function. It will give a detailed explanation of what the function does. Along with that, it will also give us an example. So it's kind of all right and easy to know exactly what it does and understand it and use it and apply it, of course, and apply it. Then these are all individual reports. All of them are individual reports which are created for different requirements. Then we create something called as a dashboard. Now, dashboard is actually the final report that we deliver to the client or that we would want to see. So whatever graphs we have created, they will appear on the left side here. Under Sheets, they will appear. We'll just drag and drop them in this area to start building the dashboard. Dashboard is as simple as doing drag and drop, because the worksheets are already created. We are just going to place them in an appropriate place on the dashboard so that the end user can go through the content in one go and they can understand what is being presented on that report. So here, for example, this is a map which is colored based on the profit coming from different countries in the world, from across the world. Red colors obviously are representing losses. Green colors are representing profits. Deeper shades of green are representing higher profits. Now there is one bar graph which is also talking about profit and sales across different markets in different countries. And there is one sales and profit scatter plot. Overall, what is the sales and profit, like the distribution, the correlation. Okay, so we have some data points going high side. We have some members which are giving losses. Now let's say we want to put these together and analyze them. Put all the three together and analyze. Then we can build a dashboard for that. Dashboard, it's very simple to build. It is just drag and drop. Drag the worksheets and drop them in this interface. Drag and drop. And as we drag and drop, they will automatically be adjusted on the screen so that we can see the entire content. Now here, sizing of the dashboard is important. Safest bet is to go with automatic. That way all the components will get resized to fit on the screen space. Whatever screen space we have, they will occupy that space. There will not be any unused white space. There will not be any chart that is getting squeezed up and all. So it will neatly fit properly. Then at individual worksheet level also, we can change the fit to entire view. Now, how do we analyze this data? We can put filters here. Just by clicking on this funnel icon, we can make this chart act as a filter. Now, when I click any country here, data corresponding to that country alone will be displayed on the remaining graphs in the workbook, in that particular dashboard. So if I click on India, I'm able to see data pertaining to India here. If I click on Australia, it will show me the data coming from Australia. And I notice that though Australia overall is giving us profits, it is in green color. That is not the case when we go at category level. It is giving very good profits only in technology category. The other two categories, profits are quite less. So like that, we can analyze. I'll roll it back. So putting a filter is as simple as clicking on the funnel icon on the frame of that worksheet. Slicing of the data is happening automatically, slicing and dicing. You select a member, for that particular member only we are going to get the remaining charts are going to show the information. Now this most unprofitable one is from office supplies, most unprofitable transaction that was made in this region. We can also use something called as highlighting here. Like for example, we can put actions on the dashboard. We already have one filter action. We can add multiple actions. For instance, highlight action, which I will run on hover. So when I hover the mouse pointer on a mark, relevant data should get highlighted. What would a filter do is it is eliminating the rest of the data. It is giving us only information pertaining to the selection that we make. Other data it is eliminating. So highlight, on the other hand, when you hover the mouse pointer towards a mark, relevant data is highlighted on the graphs, rest of the data is dimmed out. We can add actions like this also to bring in interactivity. So I go here, I know this corresponds to Asia Pacific and technology market. Or any mark over here you can go and you can understand which region it is coming from and which what is the sales and profit like. We can also put some web pages over here in a Tableau dashboard. Like say, for example, when I select India, I want to see the Wikipedia homepage of India, wiki page of India. Suppose something from the internet you want to relate to this graph. That also can be done by using actions. So I'm going to put an action which is called as go to URL action. Here the map is the source map where we have data for different countries, and the target is supposed to be a web page on the internet. So what we will do is I will fetch the link. Static part of the link we can take and paste it, but dynamic part of the link that has to come from the chart that we'll have to introduce. So how do we read the data from a website is we are giving the link to that website, and we are also introducing that field which should dynamically enter into that link, like the name of the country. Now what will happen, and I'm invoking it with menu option. So what will happen is when I select a country, on the tooltip we will get the link. When we click on that link, Tableau will automatically take us to that web page that we wanted to see. Like now it is showing me for India. Suppose I select some other country, Brazil, or when we right click also we can select the link, hyperlink, and now it will take you to the web page corresponding to Brazil. So it's taking us to the web page. From the dashboard we are going to the website, and we are seeing not generic data, we are seeing information about the selection that we made on the dashboard. So that way we are linking the web page with the graph. So when I right click here and I try to access something, the link on the website, when I click on that hyperlink, it takes me to a new internet browser, new tab on my default internet browser, and launches the result for the selection made. Now, if you want to see the result here itself, rather than going to the internet browser every time, if we want to show the website embedded into the dashboard, a web page embedded into the dashboard, that also we can do by using this object called as web page object. Now, when we take web page object and place it anywhere in the graph, you can give a link or you can just leave it blank. When a web page object is there, the result of the action that we are doing here, which is performing accessing a hyperlink, the result of that action will be loaded in the web page object that is there in the dashboard. So it's not like we are going to the internet browser now. Here itself we can see, and this will be fully interactive web page. So go to URL will help us to access web pages outside of Tableau, or to bring those web pages and embed them inside Tableau itself. As long as we are giving the link to that web page, it will work. I mean, the connection is based on the link that we give. So this is dashboard pretty much. We put everything there. It comes along with all the filters and everything. And we can interact with the graph. And we can put actions to make the graph interact with other things. We can put actions to make the graph interact with other things. How do we bring data into Tableau? How do we get data into Tableau, is it, sir? From a web page. From a web page, then the data has to be brought using, depending on how the web page is configured. So some web pages, they can be accessed using OData. If it's open data, we can say OData, and we can give the link of that web page from where we are trying to bring the data. It could be like, let's say you want to get data from some open source website where the data sources are being given. Then you can just give the link and get the data. OData is one option. The other option to get data from the internet, from a web page on the internet, is Web Data Connector. We can set up web data connectors. I mean, you just again have to give the link to that data source. These two options are there. For open data that is present on a website, on a web page, then we have to access it either using OData or by using Web Data Connector feature. Rest of them are all servers, data servers. These two only are there for connecting to data coming from the internet on a web page. And then we can create something called as stories. Story, this is the icon we use, the book icon with the plus sign, or we can go to story and choose the option to create a story. Now, story is more like a PowerPoint presentation. It is not even as advanced as a PPT. It's just that it's one place where we can put all the worksheets that we have created in a sequence. Like suppose if we have to give a presentation to somebody, then we will arrange all the slides in a sequence, right? We will put the welcome slide, then we put the agenda, then we put the topic one, topic two, then we put the conclusion, then the thank you slide. So story is that platform where after we have created all the worksheets and after we have created all the reports, the dashboards, report meaning dashboards. We will put them in one place where the end users can go through what we have created in a proper sequence so that they can understand their data better rather than in a random and a haphazard way. They go in an organized way. They go through that chart or all the charts that we have created in a proper sequence. Like we are guiding them or to go through the work in a sequence, or we are narrating our story. So stories are called as narrated walkthroughs or guided analytics. So what we do here, after we have built all the reports, we will just bring them into the story. Now for a story, if there is a scroll bar like this where the entire data is not coming on the screen and we have to scroll up and down, it may not be very much appreciated. So what we can do is adjust the size of the story to be automatic. Now, every point that we bring into the story has a caption box associated with it where we can explain the content in that point. So this map shows the profit from across all the countries, from across the countries, something like that. When we bring in the second point into the story, if we do the same by if we just try to bring it here itself, it will replace the existing point. So when the next point is being brought into the story, we have to take it next to the caption box. If I leave it here, it will become the first point in my story, and in case I leave it here, it is going to become the second point in the story. So this is a bar graph. The next point, if I drop it here, it will be the first point, here the second, and here the third. So I'm going to create a scatter plot. And not just stories, even dashboards that we have created, we can bring them and arrange them. Not just the worksheets, even the dashboards can be arranged. So this is a dashboard. So though it is just arranging everything in a proper sequence, there is one advantage that we get on a story. The advantage is, suppose we change this chart by using the interactive filter or maybe a parameter. Suppose we choose some member on the filter and we are looking at the data corresponding to the selection that we made. This is corresponding to Africa. Now here we can actually save this as another point in the story. How is on the caption box, this last icon is called as save as new. It will help us to save this particular instance of the map, showing us the profits coming from, let's say, Africa as a new point. So the original point showing the profits from the entire world will remain. In addition to that, we are putting one more map. Though physically there is only one map in the worksheet level, we are creating multiple copies of it here. So this is the advantage of a story. We can create multiple copies of a chart and we can save each point as a separate point by saving it as a separate caption box. So this is story. It is simply arranging things in a logical sequence. At the same time, we can also save multiple copies by altering the filters, interactive filters or parameters that we have, and see the data. So basically, it's like we are doing the slicing. We are slicing the data per region. We are doing all the analysis, and the ready-made report is what we deliver to the client, who will be able to consume the data immediately. So they don't have to go through the trouble of interacting with the graph and then analyzing the data and all. Whatever we have analyzed, we are presenting it in a proper sequence. So calculations, dashboards, and stories. Anything else from your side, sir, that you might want to know? We can do that. We can send data from PDF to Tableau. Now, if you have to connect to a PDF, then as I told you, the connectivity option would be to select PDF file. Now, when I choose PDF file, I will be prompted to select the PDF file, which contains the data. So after I choose the PDF file and click on open, data from that file will come. But there will be a page picker asking us how do you want to bring which data. Yeah. So when we connect to a PDF file, as you can see, first step to connect to a PDF file is we have to choose PDF file option. Then we have to now select the file, whether it is on a network or whether it is on your drive or on your local machine, you select it. After selecting it, the page picker will ask us exactly from which pages do you want me to take the data. All the pages in the PDF or only one page from the PDF or a range of pages from the PDF. We can specify that. Let us say here I want to take data from page number 2 to 8. Now the file I'm getting connected to is a PDF which contains Amazon stock price information. The page numbers that we give, they are physical page numbers. So first page number is containing a table and a graph. From second page number, the statistics are there, like the date, opening price of the stock, high price, low, close, all this, volume of stock sold for this range of dates. So now this data is split across multiple tables, multiple pages in the PDF. That is why I'm telling I want to take data from page number 2 up to page number 8. Now when I say this, we are taken to the next page. In Tableau from the start page, it is going to take us to the data source page. Here we want all the data, right? All the way from page number 2 to page number 8. So we'll have to union it. Union the complete data, 8 through 2 to 8. All the pages data has to come in a sequence. So when we do that and click on OK, the data will get loaded. And here Tableau got a little confused with the title. I'm going to turn on the interpreter. Data interpreter is something that will clean the data a little more and try to understand the headers, headings, column names, footnotes, blank rows, blank columns, such things it will take care of. So you can see the data coming. This is all the data. But one beautiful thing which Tableau will do when we connect to data coming from multiple pages in a PDF, it will give you the table name, which is basically the page number. From that PDF, which I'm considering to be a table, this is the data coming from page number 2. These records are coming from page number 3 of the PDF. These are coming from page 4, page 5, page 6. So there'll be no confusion as to what we are talking about, data from which page. Now, after taking the data, let us say you have created some report, or even you don't want to create a report. You just want to send it to an Excel. You brought the data from PDF. Now you want to send the data to Excel. So when you click on this icon to view the data, we will get all the data listed out here, which we can simply say export all. Okay, it will send in the form of a CSV file. Now, if you don't want to send it as a CSV file, then you select the data by clicking on the top left corner box. Entire data will be selected. all the records. Now we will copy it. After copying it, we can go and manually paste it in a Excel file. Export all option is there, or you have to copy and paste in Excel. Or if it is only data directly that we are trying to copy and paste, this is the method. Or in case we create a report itself. In case I create some report which is showing me all the statistics, daily statistics, high, low, all the information for each and every date. Date is ABC. I have to tell this is date. So I'll make it date. I think before creating itself, I will remove it. Date. So we can see the date. And for every date, we want to see the information like this is not good. We will put it in the table. Opening price, closing price, low and high. Okay, and volume. Now, if you want to send this data into an Excel, after creating the report, if you want to send the data into an Excel, it can be done easily. We go to the worksheet option on the menu and we say export and use the option cross tab to Excel. Now this data which has come from a PDF file, which we have represented in a visual format, in a text table format, we are sending it to an Excel. That way we can send it to an Excel. So Tableau will automatically open an Excel and send the data there. Here. No, not this one. It is probably still creating the Excel. It's still bringing the data. Here, it came. So like that we can export. In fact, this whole thing you can save as a PDF also. If you want to save all the worksheets, now we created a lot of worksheets, maps, charts, dashboards, everything. Now let's say we want to save this as one PDF document. All the content present in this particular workbook that we have created, we can save it as a PDF document. The option is going to the file option on the menu. We have print to PDF. We'll select that and Tableau will ask us, do you want the entire workbook to be saved as a PDF, all the worksheets, or only one particular worksheet? Then we can choose this and say, okay, now all the worksheets present in this dashboard, they will become a PDF. I mean, they will be saved in a PDF. It's taking time because that is a lot of worksheets. It's taking time. Here itself on the file menu, there is an option to export as a PowerPoint also. So whatever worksheets we have created, we can save it as a PowerPoint also, as a PDF or as a PowerPoint. Okay, let me cancel it out and show just a few charts. So it will look like this basically. This was the one that I created earlier today. So like this, it will come in the PDF format. This is stuck. Yes, sir. How to connect to PDF and how to export that data coming from a PDF into an Excel. Okay. This I will go in, say print to PDF, take only active sheet and say yes. So it is going to get saved as a PDF. Like that. So all the data is there. How to export graphs to Excel along with data? Directly, we don't have that option. We have to separately export the graph image and separately data. Both cannot go together. We can export to a PDF, we can export to a PowerPoint, but we don't have the option to export it into an Excel directly. Whenever we say we want to export to an Excel, it will only send the data on the graph. Like for example, let us say this is a map. It's actually a geographical map. But when I say export to an Excel, it is going to only send the data that is being represented by this graph. This graph is actually talking about different countries and the profit coming from that country. So only the data will be exported. Graph will not be exported. That is the thing. Graph you want to export, then you have to use the options to copy it as an image or export it as an image. So we can copy it as an image. After we have copied it, we can go and paste it somewhere, wherever we want to paste it and show it as an image. But directly, the option to export the graph into an Excel is not there. Exporting to PPT is there, exporting to PDF is there, exporting as an image is there, but exporting the graph into a Excel is not there. Data will get exported. Okay. Exporting only image is there. It will get saved with the extension .png, Portable Networks graphic image. So this is the tool, sir. Now, these are the kind of things that we can do here. Right. very popular when it comes to geographical analysis because it has seamless capability to create maps. That is one good feature which puts it in the leaders quadrant. I mean, I don't know exactly the context. I mean, what exactly is it that you are looking for? Thank you. Thank you, sir. Best resources or books for Tableau online. So there is Tableau online repository, Tableau online help, which is like one-stop shop. It's like a complete guide to Tableau. Here you will get a lot of information. In fact, we get everything about Tableau from here. This is one place. Another thing is there is one book called as Complete Reference. I'll just call it. It is by McGraw-Hill. That might help. That reference guide. But this is not published for the latest versions. I think you may get it up to version 10. Features are the same. After that, only few minor enhancements have happened. So whatever is the latest version of this book published by McGraw-Hill, you can take that. Okay, so that link and that book which you can get, I think, online.